My name is Cameron Osenkowski, and today I will be talking about nonviolence, specifically the implications it had in the civil rights movement and its effectiveness compared to violence. Now that you know what my speech is about, I want to talk about firstly what even is nonviolence. The Cambridge Dictionary defines it as a situation where someone avoids physical force, especially when trying to incite political change. No one demonstrates this better than one of, if not the most famous civil rights leader of all time, Martin Luther King Jr. He was threatened several times. His house was blown up. Never did he preach violence. He always said, if you can't get hit without hitting back, don't walk with me. So this philosophy was popularized by Gandhi, but MLK did get inspired by his philosophy and incorporated it into the civil rights movement. Now that you know what nonviolence is, I want to talk about how it worked in the civil rights movement. So first off, I want to talk about sit-ins, which is what this picture depicts. Sit-ins were when black people would go into a restaurant or a diner where they only served white people and would sit until they were either served or they were forcibly taken out by the police. This was basically saying, we should be able to eat here too. Bus boycotts. So the most famous one was the Montgomery bus boycott, which sparked because of Rosa Parks not giving up her seat. And this basically was black people saying, we're not going to ride your bus unless, we can choose where we want to sit. This had a lot of economic effects on the buses, which actually desegregated a lot of buses. Then I want to talk about the March on Selma, which was a march protesting the fact that the 15th Amendment was not being held up because the 15th Amendment gave people, specifically black people, the right to vote, yet white people put up so many hoops that black people had to jump through in order to vote, like literacy tests and whatnot, and they made it almost impossible to pass. So this was a march in order to be like, get rid of those tests. So basically what ended up happening was they were marching and the police showed up and they beat protesters. So now that you know some civil rights implications, I want to talk about how it works and its effectiveness. So at first, going into this, I was thinking violence was going to be the better way of inciting change, but actually, historically, it's nonviolent campaigns that have gotten the best results, as they've gotten the desired results about 50% of the time, whereas violent ones only get it about 25% of the time. This works so well because it's really hard to justify attacking people that are just not hurting anyone and just standing there. So it really made people think who really was the bad guy, and it made it really hard to stay neutral on the topic when you saw people that were just simply protesting getting beaten. It also added a lot of international pressure for the same reasons. So now that you know how it works and its effectiveness, I want to say a few closing statements. So, nonviolence is a more effective way to fight for change, and it was one of the main tools used during the civil rights movement. Nonviolence was used in places like Selma and Birmingham. Some tactics included sit-ins, marches, and boycotts. The extreme violence that was faced without reaction made people consider who the real villain was, and made people either switch sides or support the civil rights movement in general. Here are my sources, and thank you for listening to my presentation.